Okay, and now we move to the next one that Raji had spoken about before, which was around adaptive randomization. Yeah. Before I move there, any questions that people have about what we have done so far? Okay, good. So now moving to the next topic, which is around adaptive randomization. So why is this important? Yeah? Why do we care about adaptive randomization? Okay. So now let us say that we have a randomization scheme where we are doing a simple random sample. Okay. So we have 16 patients. We want to allocate them into two treatments. Okay. Treatment A and treatment B. Okay. And we want to also consider a demographic variable of gender. Okay. That has two categories, male and female. Okay. So these are the male patients, patient 1, patient 2, patient 5, 8, 9, 12, 14, 15. These are the male patients. The female patients are patient 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, 16. Okay. Now, if I were to simply do allocate the 16 patients into three treatment arms using 1:1 randomization, what would I get? Okay, I simply go and say, okay, I just have a string A, B, 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 A, B, B, A, B, and so on and so forth, right? So based on this, okay, I end up, however, having only 5 patients on treatment A and the remaining 11 patients are on treatment B. Okay, this can happen, right? Now, this is much less likely to happen if you go all the way to, instead of 16, if you had 160, would you get 50 and 110? No, right? You would probably get closer to 80 and 80, right? You may get 75 and 85 or something like that, correct? But because you have so few patients here, only 16, if it was perfectly balanced, you would get 8 and 8. Yeah. In this case, because of bad luck, you ended up with 5 and 11. Yeah. Which is very highly imbalanced between the two treatment arms. So how can we fix this? Does anybody know how we can fix this? You can just type into the chat window and we can use that. So the Q&A window, you can simply type there and say, how can I fix? Oh, there is a chat window. I can block randomization. Very good. Yeah. So I'm going to keep this here and I say, all right. So I could use block randomization here and make sure that I get the right numbers of treatments, patients into treatments. Okay. So that's what I do here. Okay. As I randomize them into blocks, my first block is AABB, second is ABBA, the third is ABBA, the fourth is BAAB. Okay. So now I get exactly 8 patients in treatment A and 8 patients in treatment B. However, I now have a problem with imbalance with gender. All the patients who got randomized to treatment A were male, and all the patients who got randomized to treatment B were female. Okay, now what do I do? So now if I look at the difference between A and B, yeah, I wouldn't know whether the difference was truly because of the difference in the treatment arms or whether it was because of the difference in gender. So when I'm stuck with this now, how can I solve this particular problem? Perfect, yeah? So a bunch of people have said that you can actually use stratified block randomization. Yeah, and so one of the ways of doing this is obviously to use stratified, okay? But the problem with stratified is that when you have a lot of, let's say 3 or 4 different strata, yeah? In this case, you had only one strata, which was gender. Or what if you had gender and age? Yeah. Okay. So which meant that you would have gender and age, 2 levels for gender. Let us say 2 levels for age. You're talking young and old. Okay. So if I were to do 2 levels for gender, 2 levels for age, how many different strata do I have? 4, correct? 2 times 2. Yeah. Now, if you have to use 16 patients into 4, it becomes very hard, right? You have to get exactly 4 in each of those. What if you get 2 in one and 6 in the other? It becomes very hard then to make sure that you are able to actually balance multiple different strata. This is already with just 2 strata. What if you had 3? Yeah, it becomes a problem. Yeah. So we use something that we call adaptive randomization. Okay, so what we do here is that we say that the probability of getting randomized to a particular treatment is modified throughout the trial. Okay, and what can we do? We can actually use 4 different types of randomization. One is called restricted randomization. Okay, so which means that your allocation probability is conditional on the past assignments of the treatment. Okay, so for example, Efron in 1971 had something called a biased coin design. So until now, let us say you have enrolled 10 patients, okay, and 10 subjects, and 6 were in treatment A and 4 were in treatment B. Okay, so which means that the next time the 11th patient comes in, the probability of being assigned to A or B is not 50-50 anymore. Okay, it might be probability of 60 to be assigned to treatment B and 40 to be assigned to treatment A. Yeah. And now if, let's say, patient 11 also gets assigned to treatment A, now you have 7 and 4. So which means that patient 12, it becomes much more, the probability changes a lot more, much higher to be assigned to treatment B and so on. Okay. So it tries to allocate, to try to change the probability as you go along. Okay. This is based only on treatment assignments. Okay. The second one could be covariate adaptive. Okay. So the allocation probability is not just based on the treatment, okay, but also on covariates. Okay. So for example, you will also take gender and age into consideration. We'll see an example. Okay. And Pocock and Simon have a really nice method of how you do that. Okay. The third way of adaptive randomization is based on the response. Okay. So covariate is based on demography. So you're not yet treating the patients, but you're randomizing them before you treat them. Correct. The third would be where you're looking at the response of the past patients and you allocate patients more to the arm where the response is better. Okay. Now it's very interesting, right? So you start off with 50-50, 1:1 randomization. But in the end, if you end up with, let's say, 75% of the patients in treatment A and 25 only in treatment B, then you already know that A is better than B, right? Just because you have been adaptively assigning patients to a particular treatment based on the response. Okay, that's called a response adaptive randomization. It's also called play the winner. Okay, it's very hard to use this in clinical trials. Okay, mostly because we don't have the response so quickly. Right? It's not like a patient comes in and if it's something like a headache, maybe it will work. Yeah, quickly within 2 hours whether the headache got better or not. Yeah, but if it is something like cancer, you have to wait 1 or 2 years before you know whether the treatment is working. Yeah, or a few months at least. So in that case, his response adaptive randomization becomes much harder to use. Okay, and then the last one, of course, is a mixture of these two. So both covariate adjusted as well as response adaptive. Okay, the one that is used most of all of this is the covariate adaptive randomization. Okay, and so let's look at an example of that. Okay, so let us say that there are 2 covariates, okay, gender and age. Okay, young, for gender you have male and female. For age you have young and elderly. Okay, and now let us say that 17 patients so far have been randomized to treatment A and treatment B. Okay, out of 17 patients, how many have gone to treatment A? 5 plus 3, 8. Yeah. Out of 17, how many have gone to treatment B? 5 plus 4, 9. Okay. So 8 patients to treatment A, 9 to treatment B. So reasonably well balanced in treatments. Okay. And now let's look at gender. So between male and female, 5, 5. Okay, total of 10 males. Out of 7 females, between A and B, 3 and 4. Yeah, reasonably well balanced. Okay. Out of age, you have young 8, elderly 9. Out of 8, elderly 3 and 5. Should have been 4 and 4, but that's okay. 3 and 5 is not too bad. Yeah. Elderly again 5 and 4. Okay. So this is the data that you currently have. Okay. So now let us say that your 18th patient is elderly female. Okay, because you have two covariates. One is age, the other is gender. Supposing the 18th one is elderly female, what would you do? You compute something called the covariate imbalance based on 17 so far, D17. Okay, you start with female, or you can start with elderly, doesn't matter, but let's say you start with female. Okay, how many females do you have in treatment A? 3. How many do you have in treatment B? 4. So what is the difference? 3 minus 4. Okay. Now you go to elderly. How many elderly do you have in treatment A? 5. How many elderly in treatment B? 4. 5 minus 4. So you have 3 minus 4 plus 5 minus 4, which is 0. Okay. So D17 is 0, which means that until now, between gender and age, for elderly females, it is well balanced. Okay. So there is no imbalance so far for the elderly female covariate characteristics, okay, covariate vector. So therefore, the patient can be randomized either to A or to B with equal probability, probably half. Okay. Now let us say that the 18th patient is young male. Okay. Now if I want to compute for D17 for young male, how would I do it? I start with, let's say, male. Okay. 5 minus 5. Okay. And young, 3 minus 5. Okay. So 5 minus 5 plus 3 minus 5 is what? Minus 2. Okay. Which is not 0. So therefore, since D17 is actually less than 0, you would assign the patient, randomize the patient to treatment A with a probability which is greater than 0.5, whatever that may be, maybe 0.6, 0.7, 0.75. It could be a function of this imbalance. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, but it would be assigned to treatment A with higher probability. Correct. So Mona had a point, which is that it looks similar to minimization, and yes, it does. It is similar to the minimization method. Yeah, does that make sense? So now what I would like you guys to do is to say, tell me what would the imbalance be. I mean, what if the 18th patient was young female, then how would we do this? Just work it out for yourselves and tell me what is D17 for young female. You can write it in the chat window. Correct. Yes, minus 3, right? Because what do you have? You have female is 3 minus 4, yeah, which is minus 1. Young is 3 minus 5, which is minus 2. So minus 1 plus minus 2 is minus 3. Yeah. Sumita, the main difference here is that you don't say that this patient will definitely go to treatment A, because you're not deterministic. Okay. So you're not saying that once I get this, if it is less than 0, then per force I will assign them to treatment A. So your P, your probability is never going to be 1. Okay. Most of the time what you would do is you would say that my probability is greater than 0.5, whether it is 0.6 or 0.75 or whatever it is. so you would assign a higher probability to treatment A, but you wouldn't necessarily make it deterministic and say P is equal to 1, so that if it is less than 0, then definitely I will assign that to treatment A. Does that make sense? Because you still want to have an element of probability there, yeah, not just make it deterministic. So this is the general formulation of the Pocock and Simons procedure. Okay, is that basically you have these number of patients, the up to n patients, n plus 1 enters, you compute the overall covariate imbalance using these numbers. Okay, within the covariate margins, you assign a set of WIs. Okay, right? And so the WIs in this case we said was just 1. Okay, which meant that gender and age were both equally important. Okay, but in this case, because you could essentially say that one of your covariates is more important than the other one. So you could say that gender is more important than age. So you could assign weights there if you really wanted to. Yeah. And then you reduce the overall covariate imbalance by using this particular formulation. Okay. Now, there are a couple of questions, which is at which stage of the trial do we start this adaptive randomization? Typically, you started right at the beginning. And right at the beginning, you don't have any numbers, it's all 0, 0 everywhere. So it doesn't matter. So your difference will be 0. So it won't matter too much. So it's not that you have to do this only after you get the first 10 patients or 15 or 20 patients or something like that. Okay. But you can also do that if you like. So for example, you can say that I will have a burn-in period, okay, where for the first 10 patients or 20 patients, they will be 1:1. And only after that can I do the adaptive. So it's completely up to you. You can choose which way you want to deal with this. Okay. Yeah, so this is basically a summary of how we do adaptive randomization. Okay, and we could do this adaptive randomization anytime. We could do it in the early phases, we could do it in the later stages, and so on and so forth. Yeah, they are much more useful in the early stages when the number of patients are very small. Once you get a larger number of patients, you could just simply stratify, and then you would get almost the same kind of a result. Right? Because once you stratify very a larger number of patients, then even if you have 2 or 3 different stratification variables, you will have enough patients in each of the strata. So this problem won't arise.